Hi, everyone. I'm excited for you to start writing your podcast script today. I wanted to just give you a few uh, tips and maybe some advice as you start that process. So, yesterday, you guys got your driving question embedded into the script graphic organizer. And so, today, I just want to process through with you my thinking and model my thinking around how to maybe produce an intro tag and intro monologue. So you'll notice here on the screen, I have already written my intro tag. And I had to do a lot of this. I had to go back to my research document and do a lot of rereading to kind of get my head back into my topic as well as what my answer to my question was. So after I had the chance to process through and reread my research, I generated this intro tag. And my goal was to create something that my podcast audience could visualize and that they could see in their head around my topic. So this is kind of what I came up with. I came up with nestled along the banks of the Arkansas River, an abode of adobe rises above the horizon. It symbolizes a convergence among nations, cultures, and ideas. This lone structure, among the harsh landscape of the desert, serves as a connecting point along the Santa Fe Trail. It is Bentfort, and its impact on the American West will leave a lasting legacy. So, this first draft that I created, I kept thinking about my question impact, impact, impact. And I wove that central idea of impact into this last statement here as a way to kind of anchor my audience on what is the main gist that I'm trying to go for here in my podcast. You'll see one of my other goals in my writing here was trying to use language and words and adjectives that would create an image in the head of my audience. You'll also notice that my intro tag is not very long. It's probably 30 to 45 seconds. And the intention there was also to be short but to the point. So, again, when you're creating that intro tag, really think about vocab, language, and connecting it back to your research question. Now you'll notice below it says ambient sound, music cues, sound on tape. So after I have my intro tag, I want to make some notes here about what kind of music or background audio am I hearing in my head when I'm saying this. I'm hearing Western music of some sort, and maybe like the noise of riding on a trail. I'm not quite sure yet what that's obviously going to turn into, but those are some things I'm hearing as I'm saying my intro tag. So I just made a note of that, and that might be a really good thing for you to do as well is consider, okay, after that intro tag, it's always good to have some sort of music to break up the words to the next segment. So it might be wise to just establish in that section what kind of music are you hearing as you say your words, and what do you want that to be. The intro monologue, you'll see here, there's a lot of color coding. So what I did is I went back, obviously, to my research to figure out elements that I wanted to use to introduce. And you'll see the elements highlighted in blue are direct quotes from my research, and the elements that are in orange are paraphrased elements from research. So I was really trying to be a little bit thoughtful about, well, how much research am I putting into something, how much am I paraphrasing, and how much is my own word. So that's why you see that color coding. You're welcome to do that if you want to kind of help your eyes kind of see, but you don't have to. So my intro monologue, again, should be a segue from my intro tag, from the music. Now it's the monologue. So you'll see here, the impact of Bentfort along the Santa Fe Trail cannot be understated. Now, I again came back to that word impact because that is the key adjective, or excuse me, verb in my driving question. According to the National Park Service. Okay, so you guys, you have to reference and give credit to the sources that you're going to use to produce and write your script. So one key way you can do that is using introductory phrases like, according to the National Park Service. I intentionally did that so my audience would know that I am citing credible information and I'm giving them credible information. It helps the audience know hey, this person did their work, did their research, understands what they're talking about. So you really need to make sure if you're quoting something directly, you pay due to that source and that site by using some transitional phrases that will help uplift that. According to the National Park Service, this non military fort was one of the most significant outposts on the Santa Fe Trail and the principal outpost of American civilization on the southwestern plains. Okay, direct quote. I don't have to give any more like citation because I said it here. This outpost would serve as a commercial, social, military, and cultural connection point along the trail. Now, again, this was paraphrased wording from my document. The fort fused the American influence of St. Louis and Westport, Missouri, with the existing Spanish and French Canadian influences and traditions in the regions. The Kiowa, Comanche, Plains, Apache, and Ute also controlled territory in southeastern Colorado and influenced the region's cultural medley, according to the Colorado Encyclopedia. So you'll see here again, I use some transitional phrasing to help the audience realize that that was a direct quote, and I used a creditable source to cite that. Then the next part says this podcast will explore the impacts of Bent's Fort had not only on the Santa Fe Trail, but the greater westward expansion movement. So in this monologue introduction, I'm really trying to, again, the last statement is really putting the point of what I'm doing here with my podcast. You'll note down here, I just made some notes that as I'm saying these words, I kind of hear some background audio of maybe trail riding or maybe even horses now that I'm talking a little bit more, or noises that could have been part of Bent's Fort. I want some sort of audio as I'm talking. My voice is obviously going to be louder, but that audio piece I think could enhance the intro monologue that I have going here. So your turn to start writing, and that intro tag and hopefully intro monologue. That's kind of the goal here, is to get those pieces started and moving forward in a positive direction. So I'll be around. Just ask if you need help.